do that. We cannot be listed as a containment area and hope a business will come here. Why would they? They're going to be under instant scrutiny. That has to be solved. And we have some ways that we can work on that. You know, we have the Stover Placement Program. Hopefully we can find funding to do that in rental homes as well as owned homes. I've heard ideas about having a wood trading program where people could trade in green wood for dry wood. I think that's something that we really have to look at and focus on. Another issue is the water at the Oak Ridge Industrial Park. We know that there are PCBs, there are chemicals in that water, and that water has to be maintained so that those don't dry up and start spreading pollution. So we're looking at a lot of different changes that have to happen there with a number of different organizations, DEQ, the railroad, ODOT, the wetlands conservation, all of these things. Another thing I think we need to do, we are business friendly. We have flexible leasing plans at OIP. Based on the number of jobs you bring in, you can get a better lease rate. How many jobs you're going to take to bring to the community and to employ people in the community. And we have the business incubation at St. Vincent de Paul's. I think we have a really good group of people here to bring in business.
Okay, Dan, this one will go to you first, please. What are your feelings on El Rapa controlling the wood-burning stoves in Oak Ridge? Kind of a good segue.
Well, just real quickly, and before I get to the answer, Mr. Bicker's staff is exactly right. The truth matters. And I think to me it's always more important to tell people what they need to know than what they want to hear. And as far as the truth, I'm looking around this room, there's a lot of people in this room I'm annoyed with the truth. So I always try to get there. As far as El Rapa, obviously if you've got a mandate at the state or federal level, it's not really a choice. You gotta find a way to make it work. As far as El Rapa control, you know, we're basically an entity out of Eugene controlling what Oak Ridge is doing. Yeah, we're within the county, but we know the Oak Ridge situation better than El Rapa. It was brought up last December that the levels were such that we would not likely ever achieve them. Goals have to be attainable to be realistic, so to set the bar higher than you're ever going to get. And obviously clean air matters. You know, when you consider breathing problems, I've carried COPD for the last 12 years, so I can appreciate the breathing issues. Clean air matters. We need clean air, we need clean water, we need a clean environment for people to raise families in a healthy environment. We also have to comply with directives, whether we like the directive or not. Sometimes you're going to find yourself in a position where, you know, the best thing you can do is say, I carry on, and you don't have to like the order, you just have to do it. In which case you find creative ways to get the job done.
I agree with Dan on a lot of the stuff that he said. You know, I've gone to quite a few of the El Rapa meetings, and it seems that there's always people there that have factual problems with it. I live right over there by it, by the unit, and it's the worst spot in town. I don't have any problem. The problem I have is I know if there wasn't any wood stoves in this whole valley, you still wouldn't be in compliance. And so since you're not in compliance, why don't we just quit funding them and tell them to go somewhere else so we can take care of our town ourselves? Then we could get EPA. I think if we could get EPA to give us open so we could put some kind of industry in here, I'm really not for El Rapa. I'm sorry, you know, I live right there at that unit, and there's guys that burn garbage, but yet El Rapa won't do anything about it. And the police department, I know they don't do anything about it because the man's still burning garbage and I turned him in. So it's pretty sad that if our service that we're paying $3,600 a year, and Mr. Fortune's on that committee, I understand this, but financially, maybe we can't afford it, we don't need it. You know, and it's up to you people to say something about it, because at the last meeting there was a whole bunch of people. Now they're going to move El Rapa up to High Prairie. You guys are going to like that too? I don't think so. And I'm not for it. I'm sorry, I'm just not for it. I think it needs to go away and we need to put funding in it. Thank you.
I have to not support El Rapa. I think they are harmful to the city of Oak Ridge. I think that they stipulate certain ideas to make us think that we're doing all wrong things. I've lived here for many years, and when we get smoke up the valley, it comes straight up Willamette River, and it just continues on up over the mountains. Yes, we have wood-burning stoves. I have one. I enjoy my wood burner. Keeps me warm, but I burn it clean. And most people that do have wood stoves burn clean. It is specific. I've been to El Rapa meetings. I've asked questions. You turn someone in, like Mr. Hamley, he turned someone in for burning garbage. There was someone just here not too long ago, about 3-4 years ago, that was burning asbestos. It's a chemical that kills people. It's the stuff that we used to have insulating our homes. But yet he was tearing it out and burning this. And all of this stuff was going up into the air and people were breathing it. Okay? Figure that one out. They never did anything about that one either. He was fined $2,500. I asked him, have you checked this out? Have you gone after this person to get your fine money? No. It's up to the person that gets fined to respond. So therefore, El Rapa, they can go away to a different place, leave us alone, and we'll support our community the best way and the way that we've always done.
Well, I hate to say this, but I'm in favor of El Rapa. I think we do need to breathe clean air, but I think there's a problem with El Rapa. And I asked them this, if they came and confiscated the 85 stoves down here in Willamette City that they say are polluting the air, would our air be any clearer and cleaner? And the answer was no. They said, can we ever get into attainment? They said, no. We will never be able to go 12 months in attainment. And I said, why? They said, simply because of the way the land is here, the way the valley is constructed. We are the dustbin for bad air from all over Lane County. If there were no humans here, the air would be, you can see I get frustrated. They're bureaucrats, and you have to understand that. But my thought when I ran into this attitude was, we simply need to get a waiver. I know the EPA issues waivers to companies that have smokestacks that emit things. We should be able to do that. I came before the city council then. They all applauded, said, yay. A year later, I'm still waiting for somebody to form a council. I went to Faye Stewart. He's all on board with this idea. He would be more than happy if we could get our act together to go down to him to move on to EPA so that we could go to our congressman, whoever that might be, whether it's Peter DeFazio or Art Robinson, and our senators. I think we should be able to force a waiver to get something in here. We've lost out on several big businesses with 165 prevailing wage jobs between $40,000 and $50,000. That's over $1 million of disposable income in this area.
Amen. Yeah, it's a problem bigger than Oak Ridge. I mean, it's like Mr. Abbott just said, we need to get our state involved, I mean, that is why we have Representative DeFazio or whoever we're going to have at this next go-around, I mean, we should be able to, at very least, if El Rapa is going to stop us from getting businesses into Oak Ridge, then they need to be responsible. And I think the climate the country is right now, as far as trying to be business friendly, I think that now's the perfect time to do it. So I think the city could get some traction with the state against El Rapa. That being said, I am also in favor of El Rapa. I actually got the rebate for getting rid of my wood stove and my heater air conditioner. I love it. Okay, so.
So I think one of the things that's interesting, sorry, I like this one better. I think we can meet the requirements. I went to the last El Rapa informational meeting, and I went away from it really feeling like we we have made progress and can continue to make progress. For a number of years, we were in compliance. We made quite a few changes. I believe it was in the early 90s. I don't have the paperwork in front of me. And we actually came in quite a bit below where we needed to be, and we're fine for many, many years. So now the regulations have changed, and we're just a little bit over, and it's really not very much. We're only out of the contained compliance about 5 to maybe 20 days a year, and those tend to be the days when it's the coldest and there's no air moving. Other than that, we're in compliance. And they do not only daily compliance, but yearly compliance. Yearly compliance, we're fine. We've been fine forever. So I think there's a lot of well-founded fear that we're never going to be able to fix this. But when you look at their numbers, it really does look hopeful. So I think if we continue on the path that we have been doing, making these changes, making these improvements, it's something that we can attain. You know, there's this question that maybe we'll attain it and they'll drop it again. It's a possibility, but from the science, it sounds like they've gotten it down to a pretty fine number. They're getting down to pretty tiny particles in the air. And I don't think we're gonna have too many more problems with, you know, having the rules changed on us over and over and over again. And one thing about us being the Dust Bowl and having that as a problem, it's not true. Dust is bigger than what they're looking at and doesn't affect it. So just an FYI on that part of it, the science part of it.
I was on the council back in the 90s when LaRapa first came in, and it wasn't a choice we made. They were thrown on us. When the EPA decides that they're going to mandate things, they're going to follow. I think some of the things are attainable. I think we're going to have some issues because, for one, they won't monitor what's coming in from the valley, which I think is unfair, and I've had that discussion with them. I was on the advisory committee for LaRapa last fall, but wasn't able to attend a lot of their meetings, and had this discussion with them. And they're not going to change that because that costs money and they're not going to pay for it. As far as the overall picture, we have to deal with it. It's not something we're going to get rid of. It's not something we pay for. I mean, we do pay for it, but not out of city taxes. What they do, though, as far as the impact on industry coming into here, is an impact, and with these new numbers especially. I think we need to, as the council, and I hope this new council will take a more proactive leadership role in the future of Oak Ridge, and will encourage our other elected leaders, whether it's county or state or federal, to get behind us and help us do some of these things. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting ducks here, because there's not a lot of power we have against a force like the EPA. I think we need to get behind some of this wood stove initiative and do a better job of it. We need, of course, code enforcement again, I think, as far as being able to go after some of these violators and actively pursue that process. I think one of the things, too, someone's mentioned earlier about the green wood exchange. I think that's one way we help also.
Thank you. Don, we'll start with you on this question. Do you think our mayor, city administrator, and councilors have learned from the past and are doing a good job of being open and transparent? If not, name what you believe needs to be done to achieve.
And then put that information out to people, and it would be